Hey folks, welcome to Planning Traffic. Today's episode is we are entering the Delaware Bay. This is right down the end of my street. Today's episode is dedicated to my granddaughter Vivian because it's going to be science infused episode. And right now, so today's episode is about high and low tide. It's currently 10, just rounded around. It's currently 10:30 in the morning. I'm going to post what the tide charts look like. Anyone fishing, tide charts, like for anybody fishing, they're going to want to know the best time to be out here on the water. And usually it could be when the tides are moving from low to high and high to low. You really want to know when it's low tide, because this would look completely different than what it looks right now. With low tide, well, we're going to talk about high tide first, because that's where we're currently at. I think today's high tide actually clocked in at 9:30 a.m. And you can see where the tide's been today. You can see that sand still damp. And here's a surf line here. It may have come all the way up to this point here. Okay? But it certainly was up as high as this. And you're seeing it right now as it looks at 10:30. An hour after high tide was at its highest. Let's just say that. So it's kind of like, I think if you're a person that believes in the flat earth theory, this video might not be for you, because basically what ends up happening is as the earth rotates around the moon, whatever side of the earth that the moon is on will have the largest gravitational pull of our tide with the moon on that side, and the side completely opposite. And that's the science of it. So that process, like you could have a low tide at night when the moon's out. I think that whole process of it just rotating is what causes, it's not I think anything, this is scientific evidence and factual. So you will have a change in the tides as the earth rotates around the moon. And that's the moon's gravitational pull. One thing for certain is if that moon's full, you will get, and it coincides with the high tide on your part of the earth, of the planet, you could probably expect a higher than average high tide. And that's kind of where we're at. I've been down at the beach, been on this beach here, with people that are really not familiar with the beach, which is very common. Honestly, for many reasons that we don't necessarily need to get into right now. So this dog loves birds. So sorry, I'm walking Mina, but the minute she sees a bird, I'm getting yanked. And I remember the one day, a friend of mine, take two. So a friend of mine really wasn't familiar with that at all, and saw the water like this with the waves coming in, and then we came down here at low tide, and he went, where did the water go? And that's what this episode is about. My granddaughter is growing up in Louisiana. She gets a little experience of the Gulf of Mexico from time to time. But she's a little baby, so she's going to probably see many bodies of water by the time she becomes a teenager. But we're going to come back here later today, and low tide is at 3:30 p.m. and we're going to see what this looks like. And let me tell you something, folks. Low tide's fun. High tide's fun. You get the waves, and if you want to go swimming and stuff, oceanside, or even in here, it's a thing. Low tide has its own level of fun incorporated in that. So we're going to be back with this episode at 3:30. And there you have it. Approximately 4 p.m. Same beach, Delaware Bay, but look at this. Low tide. Let's go take a peek. Here we have it. Low tide. Why? Because of the Earth's revolving around the moon's gravitational pull, and it's now our turn to have low tide. There'll be another low tide approximately 12 hours from now. In between, there'll be a high tide. Just do the math. In between there, there'll be a high tide, low tide, high tide, low tide, high tide. And you know what? The one thing about the tides, especially if, say, you're like a kayak person or, you know, manually rowing something, whether it's a stand-up board, kayak, whatever, you get it. The tides are a very important thing. So what I would do, and I've done kayaks, you know, this, let me tell you something. I know I jump from one thing to another, but look at this. I love it now. Something's out there. Usually it's like, I've seen a lot of bunker washed up, so it's kind of, I like to know what they're, because the boats have been just pulling together all over, up and down the beach all week. So yeah, so like if you're a kayaker, I don't really see anybody out right now, but what I would do is I would absolutely look at the tides, especially if you were going, you know, north to south. Let me get it right. Because if the tide's going out, you're gonna fly in this direction, but on the way back you're gonna have a tough time because the tide's leaving and it's heading out to the Atlantic Ocean in the bay. Okay, so if you have a tide coming in and you were planning on going out, you know you're going to drift. You're probably going to drift this direction, or you may even be fighting it as it's pulling in this way. But depending on what way this water's going, if it's going out because we're about ready to have the miracle of sandbar and low tide, then you're definitely going to want to know that prior to putting your kayak in the water. Because if it's going out, you're going to get an extra push out there. So you're going to work extra hard coming in. And you're going to work extra hard going south to north. That stuff's important to just know. If you're a triathlete and your arms are made of steel, you probably don't care. You're going to do whatever the hell you want, and that's perfectly fine too. But yeah, here it is. This is it. This stuff here is filthy, is muck in between the sandbars. What is it made of? I'm not really sure. It's gross. Not gross. I would walk through it barefoot, but I'm definitely not putting my sneaks in it. And that is what's in between the different undulations. Like this sandbar right here this is a tall sandbar. We're pretty high up in like the floor of the Delaware Bay right here is pretty high up. This is probably one of the highest points in all the sandbars going up and down the Delaware Bay right now. And then when it gets lower like it's doing here, you're going to get mud. They seem to have a whole lot more sandbar further north, like off in the distance. That's like Del Haven's down there, and it turns the corner. Reed's Beach is down there in that direction. They got a lot. They got some juicy sandbars down there. Where over this direction, it's certainly more narrow. Look, it really is super narrow right here. Look, it only goes out to about there, right up ahead. I think it's really narrow. But yeah, so knowledgeable and you haven't been on the beach much, this would blow your mind. Because exactly, what was it? I was here at 10 a.m. this morning. We would be probably about waist high in water in this particular spot, even deeper over here where the mud's at. About waist high, knee to waist, around here. And now, bone dry until the high tide comes, which is probably, that'll be in here probably, I think dead low tide today was, I'm going to post a tide chart for today anyway. Dead low tide was probably 3:30, I think 3:40 p.m. So in another 6 hours, the tide will be up. We will be underwater, and the surf line, you can kind of see it. If I tighten this up, you can kind of see it up there. It'll be pushing up there. I do like this over here, and I think I may close this video out with a little peek over to this area. So this part of town right here, it says please stop, well you can read, please stop here. Look, shorebirds, the red knot, the rusty turnstone, sanderlings, sandpipers. So this is, you know, they don't want people walking. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be the whole, yeah, it is the whole length, because this is basically where the high tide would come up to. Probably should be a little further down. But you can see not many people come through here, a couple of nitwits that don't know how to read. And this is cool. I don't know if this is the same picture. There was one last year that was drawn by the kids. Last night I was up over this direction over here on the street looking over, and this was filled with the little birds, just filled with it. It actually looked like you had to look really close, because it was like, what the heck is that? And it was, I don't know what bird, I don't know what one of these birds it was, but let me tell you something, they were all here, and this was all full, and they were all feeding, which was kind of cool. So I guess, you know, so they're migrating north to Arctic nesting grounds. They must feed almost constantly to survive. We know that about birds. If you've read enough about birds, they're constantly eating. Just, I mean, look, they're flying around, all that energy they're using. But yeah, this is that area right here. So they can come in here and relax and fuel up for the next trip to the Arctic. Oh, baby. Have it, science. A whole lot of science. My good, you can't pack any more science into an episode without being, I mean, this was really... See, I can't even think of anything to compare it to, because I don't watch a lot of science. What is that out there? Huh, interesting. Now I'm trying to think, can I get out there to see what it is? No, I can't. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, folks, thanks for watching. Have a great day, a pleasant tomorrow. Low tide, we went high tide to low tide. We were here at 10 a.m. It was high tide. We're here at 4 p.m. It's low tide. Tide's coming in the process right now. And that's the miracle of science. It's the miracle of the Earth's axis. It's the miracle of the moon's gravitational pull. It's all worked in. Again, I dedicate this episode to my granddaughter, Vivian. I hope at some point she watches it and says, you know what, Pop-Pop really made it sound sensible, because I always wondered why one day I'm on the beach and the water's way out, and the next day I'm on the beach and it's way in. Now we know. Come down and enjoy a day at the beach. All right, folks, have a great day, pleasant tomorrow, and I'll see you next episode.